What's going on, guys? All right.
Because that's all I've been hearing for 7 years from my parents, my aunts, my uncles, and now you, and all of you say it like it's some sort of compliment, but it is actually incredibly insulting. Well, you shouldn't take it. If I wanted to go to I would have gone to that school.
So you guys took some trades this week? Well, today. Did y'all take advantage of the gold buys? All right. So what we're gonna focus on is let's do the market update, and by like 9 o'clock, go over some trade ideas for gold. Also, we could look at the RBNZ rate decision. All right. So like, hopefully, it depends on what we get from this rate decision. Not expecting a lot of fireworks, but it's definitely going to be something for us to really focus on. This is pretty much the main event for this week, other than Jerome Powell speaking later on. But that's what we're going to focus on. So at 9 p.m., that's when we're going to get that actual decision. So let's see. Yeah, so you guys can see right here. So expectations is that they're going to cut interest rates by 25 basis points for this meeting, right? So not really a surprise, but just mute this real quick. What we're going to look out for, just a quick little preview. So the RBNZ is near the end of their cutting cycle, right? Their goal is around 2 to 2.5% when it comes to interest rates. So if they cut rates this time, as we're going to see, they're going to be at 2.75, right? So they got at least one more rate cut after to be at the end of their cutting cycle, right? So if we get that type of tone where they're giving us more of a data, they're being more cautious when it comes to cutting interest rates now because that they're at the end of the cycle, that could cause actually NZD strength. So this is where we could start seeing a shift in monetary policy, right? Other central banks like the Feds, they're nowhere close towards their target goal, right? When it comes to the Bank of England, they're nowhere close. So you're going to see how this central bank actually reacts when they're very close towards their target goal. So we can actually start seeing a shift when it comes to monetary policy. All right. So that will give us more of a stronger NZD currency if they give us a hawkish tone, right? If they talk about pausing interest rates moving forward. But what we'll look for a more weaker NZD currency is going to be like a surprise. If they give us more of a dovish tone, they talk about more cuts when it comes to interest rates. That forward guidance tone is what's going to lead us to looking for more weakness in NZD. But I understand majority of you don't trade it, so it's good as a good indicator for education wise, right? Because all central banks pretty much do the same thing, but the countries, their problems are different. But the way the markets move based off of obviously a hawkish and dovish tones is pretty much the same. All right. Second shocker is most likely is going to be the possibility of Japan intervention because we've been seeing such a weaker yen aggressively this week once when that new prime minister came in, right? So usually the Bank of Japan, the finance minister don't like an overly aggressive weaker yen, right? Normally that weaker yen is being caused by the US dollar. Remember like earlier on in the year, right? That stronger dollar was really a problem, and the Bank of Japan didn't like it. Stronger dollar makes USD JPY goes extremely high, weakens the yen currency, is bad for the exports, right? It's bad for trade. So they would normally do intervention. The Bank of Japan will purposely strengthen their currency. So it's a possibility that will happen. There's no way you're going to be able to predict when it's going to happen, but when the moves do happen, it's going to be very unnatural. But typically, like, don't try to sell right away. When the Bank of Japan does intervention, right? Just try to catch the reversals because it just sets up for better positions to sell back the yen because they're still at a dovish cycle, right? They're leaning more dovish overall, right? With this new prime minister coming in place. But if you get lucky, you catch some good opportunities with that intervention, good job. But the moves are very, very, very fast. So I don't recommend trying to trade it if it ever does. But at least if something does happen with the yen, you're not going to be surprised about it. All right. So that's the two things that we're going to focus on. Right. So over here also, we got time. Could talk about the summary. So this, so far, right, as we can see the tone, we still got a dovish soft dollar. ECB and pound is neutral pretty much when it comes to the recent comments. Bank of Japan, long term, but this I'm gonna have to switch this over, right, because of the prime minister. But we still waiting for the Bank of Japan to actually come out again. So they were supposed to have a meeting. Oruda was supposed to have a meeting tomorrow, but they canceled it. Right, so I think that has to do with the new prime minister, because this could actually impact his current stance. So I think it'll be best to wait for that actually coming in place. So far, still dovish overall when it comes to the Feds, but I believe we got Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow. Let me just double check. Yeah, so tomorrow at 8:30. So initial jobs claims is not going to be there because of the lockdown, obviously. But Jerome Powell speaking could be market moving at 8:30, depending on what he says. And hopefully it's live so we can take advantage of those opportunities, right? So that's what we're going to definitely focus on. I can look at the NZD later. All right, so answer your questions. Took a bigger buy size than I should have. Lost my profit from last night. It was a small pullback that gold gave us. It depends. Was it this pullback? But it's just one-sided. It probably was this pullback right here. Yeah. Anybody else took some trades over in New York? I think, I see what y'all saying. Dollar is bullish also with gold. That's why I was saying focus on price action. There's really nothing going on at the moment, right? That the lockdown is still there. Nothing stagnant is actually happening with the markets, giving us a clear direction as of yet, right? But eventually those opportunities is going to come. And then it lost. Damn. Yeah, it must be. Was it this pullback? It seems like probably this pullback around 11:30, right? Probably was just this one right here. Only thing I can really think of that happened so far. Yeah, and it kind of sucks at the moment because even though that we're heading towards 8, especially with the strong, gold is pushing higher because did y'all guys watch the video also that was in a banter with what's his name, the hedge fund owner Griffin, and also Ray Dalio. I'm gonna post it in the banter too, but I know Ray Dalio did one today as well. You can hear what King Griffin says about, he's talking about gold as well. And King Griffin and Ray Dalio both was talking about gold, especially the buys that's happened, pretty much explaining what's going on with gold. I thought it was pretty interesting. You guys should definitely listen to it. But gold buys, right? Overall macro, dovish Fed. Bloomberg has someone talking about 4K sell-off. I mean, if it does, right, it's just because the markets can't be one-sided. There's always going to be some sort of pullbacks. Do I expect a pullback like this to happen eventually? Right? Of course, right? We're going to see something like this probably happen soon, right? The only way I like the idea of catching the sells, I think if the government shutdown ends, we probably could see a little bit of a recovery, right? And then look to take back buys afterwards. I think that would pretty much be the best bet. But, markets can't just go one-sided. There are winners and losers overall, right? There are sellers and buyers overall. So pullbacks, it could be profit taking at all-time highs. So it's a possibility that we could get that, and we're already pretty close to 4K. And I'm pretty sure once we hit 4K, it's just going to be we're going to see a bunch of news headlines and, people bragging about it. Like we're just gonna see that happen. It's most likely gonna happen soon. Probably, hopefully, in the next 30 minutes, we could probably hit 4,000, which is it's pretty crazy. We were able to see this in our lifetime, right? But it's just been pretty simple. It's just one sided. Like you could be wrong, don't know anything. It just took a buy, and then just really got lucky with this one. Just like a lot of the uncertainty that's going on in the markets. That's just really it. Yeah, like I expect a huge sell off to be aggressive too. I think that would be a really good opportunity, right? So just set an alert at this zone around 39.85, like right here at a 30-minute high, right? Because if most likely, like from this standpoint, right, we break lower, it's a possibility that we could get a better retracement. But I think that would be a good opportunity looking for sales. Safer is going to be around 39,450, right? I would say that would be a safer opportunity to look for later on. Might not happen today, who knows? Like anything could happen in the next few hours. But what I'm gonna focus on is the Bank of Japan's. I'm gonna focus on the yen also to see if we get some intervention. If we do, we're gonna probably see. It's gonna be really impossible to catch because it's gonna be like this. Like it'll be like one aggressive candle, probably do some shit like this, and then wick, and then just recover the whole move. So I think it's no way you can really catch it. But if it does, it's just going to be super unnatural. So it'll be like some big ass candle like that. All right. But it's something just to be aware of. If it does happen, at least you know why. But there's still going to be people that's like, oh, what the hell's going on? Yeah, Jerome Powell speaks Thursday. Yeah, what's tomorrow? Wednesday? Because it's going to be pretty interesting about what he says. Yeah, it's Thursday. Yeah, so tomorrow's the meeting minutes. All right, yeah, tomorrow's the meeting minutes at 2. It's a possibility the meeting minutes might be something different. We might get something different from the meeting minutes also because of the lockdowns, right? We could get like hawkish statements from the minutes as well. So it's a possibility. So that's why I've been looking for if anything, if we that's why I expect the dollar buys to continue to hold because I think this lockdown is going to force these feds to start that dovish by pretty much that hawkish pause language. And on Thursday, that's where it's going to be extremely important for Jerome Powell to speak. Right? His comments on Thursday is going to be market moving, especially if the lockdown still happens. It'll be probably what he says is going to be very, very market moving. So that's something that we're going to be looking forward to. But if the lockdown do end, like especially like I like that equities is consolidating and pushing lower because most likely if the lockdown does end, we're pretty much gonna see, and it could happen at any time, right? So just focus on headlines tonight as well. But we could an example if it ends and you start seeing US 30 breaking above, we see Nasdaq breaking above structure, that would be a hawk. Like that's going to be a risk on reaction, and then we most likely will start seeing gold pushing lower. That's how you know the markets is actually caring about the lockdown ending, right? So I think that would be the best bet. So that's exactly what I will focus on. But now, like heading towards 9, Asian session open. We already got a huge reaction on gold so far. So after impulsive reactions, right, we get an impulsive move. It's best to wait for the next phase, like consolidation, right, or pullback. Can't really just be buying at the highs. Of course, the markets could do it at once, but it's best to, if you didn't enter right here at this break of structure, it's best to just try to be patient, okay? So this is just still pushing higher, but definitely you guys trading at 9, just be a little cautious. I remember last night on NASDAQ, the best time was the trade was, yeah, like after NYSE, exactly, because there's more volume at that time. Yeah, I think 4K is going to definitely hit probably at 8:30. And watch it probably reject. Like probably watch it hit like 4K and then reject. I think if y'all have futures, I'm pretty sure, did it hit 4,000 already on futures? Or is it above 4K on futures? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it is, right? Yeah, so yeah, it already hit. 1 second, guys. About to take profit. I mean, yeah, profit is profit, dude. It's a really good react. Like, I mean, that was a really good move. Good job though for taking the buys. Yeah, so we got about 30 minutes for the rate decision for the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm gonna focus on. I want to see pretty much them talking about. It'd be great to, yeah, like NZD would be great too. But I want to see, like, I feel like the best opportunity is going to be if they say that they're heading close to their actual target rate and they actually be more in a pause scenario. I think that would be the best opportunity. I would say that would be the best edge. Other than that, it's probably not going to be worth really focusing on that. Yeah, did it drop? I mean, yeah, it's not crazy, but yeah, it was expected, right? So it was at 8:30, it was going to reject. Yeah, because like usually one of them has to give. If we see that the yields and the dollar is pushing aggressively along with gold, and we don't really have a clear reason for a risk off market, it's a possibility that one of them has to give. We will see either the dollar push lower or gold is going to have to push lower. So we're just waiting for one of them to actually give. All right. All right. So we got time. Yeah, it pretty much sucks, man, because a lot of the moves happen on Sunday, especially when it came from the yen. We're just seeing continuations. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Headline already came out. Gold tap 4K. So yeah, we'll be surprised if we see some profit taking coming on from here. Yeah, I would not be surprised if that happened. Doesn't mean it's sell right away. Like hopefully nobody, but you'd be surprised. People, imagine how many sell limits is at like 4,000 right now. Where you guys are from? Aaron, you in LA, right? Bella, Daniel. I know Carlos, you're in Florida. It's a lot of Davids in here. Where y'all from, David? Dylan, Juan, Kevin, Lana, Ricardo, Troy. I know, like, yeah. All right, London. Oh, Aaron, you're in Miami. Yeah, yeah. All right, you're in Seattle. Cool. California, Florida, Montreal. We got Canada here too. Great. Houston. Oh, you moving to Vegas? Oh, that's cool. You're in the Philippines. Nice. Yeah, if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to ask too, brothers. How long do you hold trades for? I mean, it depends. Depends what's going on with the markets. What are your thoughts on Euro Swiss? Haven't thinking about it. Like I said earlier, that the ECB is more for Euro is very neutral, no clear edge yet. So not really focusing on Euro at the moment. Waiting for a clear opportunity. Gold is just bullish, man, Ricardo. It's just bullish. Like so, but we hit 4K, just getting a rejection. This is definitely a key area, right? Probably a lot of limit, a lot of orders is probably around 4,000 right now. Probably a lot of sell orders there too. I wouldn't be surprised. But I would say just watch out, like set that alert for 39.85 just in case, right? Because after 9 p.m., let's see what goes on. Like if we could get some bit of a pullback, right? If we could respect this support for like the next 30 minutes, right, or hour, then if we start breaking back below the zone, then it's going to be like a high probability we could see gold pretty much give us a retracement, at least back to this zone. I could see it would be a good take profit, right? Because it's still a decision maker. Because overall, technically, we're still bullish. So this could either give us that pullback, then we could see continuations. But as long as the dollar and the yields remain strong, I'm expecting one of them to go the opposite direction. So either gold is going to push lower, or we're most likely will see dollar push lower, right? So we're just waiting for one of them to give, pretty much. But yeah, like we're just gonna watch the NZD rate decision together. That's all. Like I'm not gonna force any trades. We got some time. Put Joe some areas of interest in a while. Yeah, it makes sense, Ricardo. I think that's the best bet. Like looking for buys, it already happened, man. Like I would say, just try to be a little more patient, like heading towards New York, or just come back. I would say probably come back around London session, probably like 3 a.m. to see what gold does at that time. You get what I mean? Then you could probably get a good reaction. Like the only time I would say from a fundamental perspective is if we see that the government shutdown ends. Then that will be ideal for sales. If things get worse, looks like more uncertainty, then if gold does push lower, just look for better buys, right? Just anticipate these type of pullbacks to happen and then look for better buys after those type of pullbacks. I'll say that, yeah, you don't want to really buy at the highs, just because you just don't want to get stuck in that pullback and you're closing, because the pullback, the retracement will take you out and then it will still go in your direction hours later. So that's the consequence. But how's your week going so far? Are you profitable this week so far? I didn't take one trade yet. I feel like my opportunity, what I'm going to look for is I want to see what happens with the yen, right? If the intervention happens, if I miss the opportunity with intervention, then I'm going to just try to catch the reversals. Then I want to see if I could if I don't even want to trade the Fed speakers, but I want to look for an opportunity during Jerome Powell's comments. Like Jerome Powell's comments is another opportunity I would look for. And if we could get anything about the lockdown happen anytime soon, then whatever comments we get with that will be an opportunity, will be an edge. Because I missed my edge on taking dollar buys, so I want to take advantage of sells. So I'm going to look for that as well. And NASDAQ, I like the idea of buys still, especially like everything going on with tech is very positive. But yeah, exactly. Being patient is what's key. So that's what we're gonna wait for. We're gonna wait for a good edge. Just gonna take a little bit of patience. Put this here. All right, guys, we got about 20 minutes. Will we get U.S. Labor Day revision? I mean, it depends when it ends. Like, I know they're gonna let us know in the website, but so first we gotta wait for the government shutdown to end. Then they're gonna update us on when the next data point, like how they're gonna actually make the data points come out. Because I'm expecting, if say for instance if they end it today, will we get the NFP numbers this Friday, right? So I think they would let us know how that's gonna go. The higher high indicator, it's just let me see. Yeah, it's just right here. It's lonesome, but it's higher high, lower low life. Which pair do you believe will be a good move when the NZD news come out? I think they all will be. Like like AUD NZD is always a good one too. Very easy to manage, but like AUD, like GBP pound could be a good one. But I would say probably the easiest would be like NZD USD. You could be very neutral when it comes to that. I'm not expecting much from this meeting. It's just more for me like as a view. I just want to view it and see what happens. But I would like to see. Yeah, it's tough. It's not. It's not really. It's not really. I don't feel like it's a good option at the moment besides NZD USD. I say like the best neutral one would probably be AUD NZD, but or pound NZD could be a really good neutral one. Like you could take it in both directions, but yeah, yeah, I do like this for you. Mm. Yeah, because this hot we already broke structure here for support, but yeah, I just leave it like this. And then if you see like NZD USD break above this high around 58,550, that could be a good opportunity for buys. Like NZD JPY, like obviously we don't want to sell that pair because we have a weaker yen, right? So and plus it's just already so bullish. It's just that I feel like it's not even worth really looking for. Maybe if we could get some, I don't even think we even have time. But I put in a 5 minute just in case, because if we do get a stronger NZD, but the fact that the yen is just so weak that it's just going to make this pair push higher regardless, right? But just in case, if we get a stronger NZD currency, you're going to want to take the buys above there. Sells, this is like a really good, like this would probably be a good area to take shorts from if we break that support. Surprised nobody is from New Zealand. I definitely want to go out there though. Just love the greenery. Yeah, because I'm debating right now to probably look at pound NZD. Because I'm more neutral when it comes to the pound. So that's why like taking like pound NZD is good for like both directions. And it's a really good range for AUD NZD. So very good range. All right, so now I'm just go over the areas of interest to focus on, right? So if we get a hawkish commentary coming in for the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, right? We're going to see strength. That's just going to be the green arrow. So we're going to see this direction actually hold if we get a hawkish meeting. So meaning if they actually come out and suggest that they're going to be more data dependent, that's going to be a reason for AUD strength, right? That they're most likely going to pause interest rates moving forward. They're closer to their target, right? So that means there's probably just going to be one more rate decision. A rate cut. So if the markets price in one more rate cut, then that's most likely going to be NZD strength. But if they do the opposite, right? And also, this is the New Zealand stock market. So we're going to see the New Zealand stock market do the opposite, right? We're going to see if this is a hawkish meeting, right? We're going to see this pair push bearish, something like that, right? We're going to see some reactions like this. But now if we get the opposite, if they do come out dovish, right? If they signal that the labor market is weaker, if they signal obviously that in their inflation is actually lowering. They need to do additional rate cuts, right? That dovish type of tone, we're going to see like NZD USD push lower, break below that support. Remember USD JPY holding below that area of support. Same thing with NZD Swiss. We're going to see that break below because pound AUD and AUD NZD, because the pound NZD is a second pair, we're going to see it go in the opposite direction, right? Pound NZD is going to push higher. AUD NZD is going to push higher, right? And then when it comes to the New Zealand stock market, we're going to see that pair push higher because we're going to have to see the stock market do the opposite of the currency because it's going to be either a dovish or hawkish reaction. All right. All right, makes sense, guys. Put a 1 if that makes sense. If you guys have questions, don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to ask. But put a 1 if it makes sense. So at least we all on the same page. Carlos, you traded gold yet? Yeah, I think it's best probably. Yeah, I think that's smart. Waiting until London. Yeah, I think it's really smart. All right, you guys can see the news feed, right? Well, I'm gonna be reading it to you guys anyway. I mean, usually, Mark, when it comes to long-term trades, it's gonna happen before like. What you need to pay attention to is like an example for what happened with the dollar, right? We see dollars going bullish. When the lockdown started, how that's going to impact central bank decisions because there's no data, right? Then how is the Federal Reserve going to remain overly dovish? So that sets you up for taking buys on the dollar until we see the opposite. Make sense? So gold, what makes you want to hold gold longer? As long as the uncertainty is still there. So when we see all the uncertainty that's happening, before that happened, before the uncertainty, what was causing gold to push higher? A dovish Fed. So Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve finally gave the markets that dovish reaction of what they wanted, right? So that led to reasons to hold gold buys for a longer term. And then you wait for things that add towards that direction, which is the uncertainty of the lockdowns, right? Which is geopolitical tensions. So you hold those trades as long as if new things happen, does it go along with your direction? So the way that you close is only if something opposite that makes you want to close it because this whatever something new happens makes sense for you to look for the opposite direction, right? So the only difference is just holding on to the trades. The way you don't hold on to swing trades is just because you're over leveraged, you have a tighter stop loss, right? But the directions are holding if you lower the lot size or put your stop loss at an area on a higher time frames, like the 4 hour, right? Could help you. But if you cannot trade like the problem is like we're trying to use our swing, like our scalp trading technical analysis for a swing trade bias, right? So if you're using a 30-minute, like a stop loss you do with your scalps, right? You can't turn a scalp trade to a swing trade. It's not going to happen accidentally, right? You're going to be you're not going to enter a trade and expect a swing trade and have no drawdown, right? You're going to probably be in negative territory for a few days, right? It's a possibility. So you have to go to the higher time frames so you could escape the noise, like the 4 hour to daily. You know what I'm saying? But if you stay in the lower time frames, it's very hard for yourself to hold those trades long term. And the difference is just look at gold in the 15 and 30 minute and then gold to the 4 hour. So you will see the difference, you know. Like that's why I'm like, oh, gold is one-sided, but people still took losses because they're trading in the noise. But the higher time frame, you don't really see those pullbacks. Don't really phase you on the higher time frames, right? Because it's very few candles, and it shows you the actual direction. So if you want to hold trades longer, you just have to clear the noise, go to the higher time frames, and understand why you're taking that direction. But obviously now at 4K, it's like you can't look for a swing trade buy, right? So the timing is what matters first too. So it's always going to happen before that. Like it's always going to happen first. You're going to see the markets moving that direction, and then you're going to start seeing things add up to why it's moving in that direction. But first, you have to see, like, you got to track everything at once, right? So say if an example, I want to sell dollar, right? So first we need a shift. So you could be looking right now, and the rate decision is at 10 minutes. So we're probably looking for a shift, right? So say if an example PMI data comes out at a 30, worse than ever, worst PMI, then we see dollar weakness. You take that sell, right? Now you're like, okay, this is a start for a shift in economic data. We're finally going to see weaker growth. So let me take this swing trade, right? You looking at the higher time frames. Then, okay, what's next? Oh, we got a Fed speaker. If the Fed speaker comes out and says, oh, there's weaker growth is the reason why I want to cut interest rates, he's dovish. You could stay in a trade, right? So even if dollar pulls back and you see a little bullish price action, you're like, macro, higher time, like for me looking at the bigger picture, this suggests that dollar should be bearish. So even if the dollar pulls back a bit, I'm not taking my position off because everything still aligns with a weaker dollar. Then it drops in your favor in a few hours or the next day or two, right? Then the next economic data comes. We get GDP or something. It comes in lower. You still holding that trade, right? So you want to make sure things are aligning with the bigger picture, right? But sometimes you got to enter, like by the time we look for entries is always when it's too late. But if you could catch the shift, like right now, like NZD, if they say that we're near the end of we're at the end of our cutting cycle, so we're not looking to cut interest rates. They're not going to say it so easily like that, but there's going to be a way that they frame it where it's like, okay, you see, they're not looking to cut interest rates. So then, bam, NZD gains strength. You can take that buy, but then something else needs to happen, right? If we could get a risk on market, because if we get a risk on market, that suggests NZD strength. Then if we see NZD labor data comes out higher, that's another reason to hold on to the pair. So that's how you can hold on to the swing trade. But say if we're in a buy and then we get a risk off market, say a war happens, or China's PMI data goes bad, that will be a reason for you to close that trade. Make sense? So it's hard to like explain the hypotheticals, but typically like the things are always stacking on. But you're gonna have to enter, by the time you're thinking about the swing trade, it's probably too late. I mean, it just like ideally, time. Yeah, I got time. Like first, obviously, it depends on the pair that you're trading, right? When you're at a low, you can't be looking for swing trade sells at the lows, right? So every time you see price trends in that direction, what do you see? You see you see a pullback form, right? Like you see like some sort of lower high form, right? So that shows like typically like every pair is going to typically give you that higher low. So you just wait for that. And say for instance, right? Like say this is the 4 hour and like I see this break of structure, right? Your stops has to be above your stops has to be above that swing high. Even though that like your entry is here at this break of structure. Most people, right, it's just hypothetical. Like most people, like you're looking for a swing trade and they will have their stop loss like this. And they want to catch something like this. right? It's very unrealistic, right? Because if you have a realistic stop loss, because if price breaks above this high, that's showing me that I'm in the wrong direction of the trade. But in order for that to happen, this could actually go right back. Yeah, exactly. You need to give it breathing room because you could be in drawdown for like 2, 3, 4, 5 days. You could be in drawdown for like a few days, and then it could actually go in your favor and drop for the next week or two. And then that's the reality of it. But most people like they trade with their stop loss based off their feelings. So they will break even and then they go, yeah, like and they'll break even and go, oh, how come I can't catch a swing trade? It's very unrealistic. So you have to give your trades breathing room. You know, you have to go to the higher time frame, escape the noise. And as long as everything that you're seeing suggests that direction to hold, it should hold. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course you're going to be in drawdown. Of course you're going to see the trade be negative, right? But you have to shift your mindset. Most people don't do that. You know, like most people would have a scalping mindset and expect to take swing trades like that, and it typically doesn't work that way. And it's hard. You know, like it's very hard. So if you want to take longer term trades, I just recommend lowering your lot sizes. What's going on, guys? If you're on YouTube, just give me a like so it can help the algorithms. Hopefully, this is helpful for you guys. But yeah, I agree with Carlos, man. Probably waiting until Asia, like London session is probably going to be the best bet. Just wait, probably a little less noise. Probably could get some consolidation until then, and probably could catch a good opportunity. If you're looking at it from a technical perspective, it's definitely key. Yeah, you could already see like NZE is already trying to react. Yeah, like I'm doing. I wanted to go live on like TikTok too, but my stream. I'm using Streamlabs, and I don't know for some reason I keep getting like banned on Streamlabs from TikTok. So like I'm banned for like 5 days. So I have to go to TikTok itself to do it. But I only have like one camera, so that's why. I'll probably go live like tomorrow morning or something. All right, guys, we got 3 minutes. Yeah, I feel like the yen is going to act up for this session. I really have a feeling about that. Yeah, my bad. IG. Yeah, but if you want to watch the full screen, it's best to go on YouTube. All right, we got 2 minutes. Yeah, if you want to watch better, go on YouTube, IG. I'm gonna start an account for gold soon since I trade NAS. I don't like trading a lot of pairs in one account. Yeah, yeah, I think that's fine too. Like definitely like split up the accounts in that way. You can have one where you risk more, and then have another account where you do proper risk management. Like you can use one account to trade equities, another account to trade gold. You could do that too. All right, let's get it. We got 30 seconds. So just trying to see if they cut interest rates by 25 basis points, that's not going to be the mover. We're going to have to focus on these headlines. That's what's going to be the real mover, the real catalyst. All right, so we got about 15 seconds. We can already see the yen is already reacting. The yen is already pushing lower. All right, 3, 2, 1. See what we get. All right, so they did cut rates by 20. They cut rates, so weaker NZD currency. All right, wow. So definitely a rate cut. They cut rates by 50 basis points. That's why we got this was a surprise to the markets. So 2.5. So now the only way, it already happened so fast, like because this was definitely the low. So this was a surprise. They were supposed to cut rate. That's definitely a shocker. So yeah, wow. So that they cut rates by 50 basis points. So that's why the NZD dropped the way that it did. Very aggressive. I didn't have a chance to react. So that's a surprise. So the only way I can see this reverse if this is the end of the cutting cycle. So I think that's the tone that we have to wait for right now. But right here, see, committee remains open to further reductions in OCR as required for inflation to settle to remain there as 2%. So this is opening the door for additional rate cuts. Like, damn. So they even coming out dovish. So with a 50 basis point cut, and they're suggesting that more rate cuts can actually happen. But this was, this took off. Yeah, this was a surprise. I didn't even have a chance to react to it. Yeah, there are upside and downside risks to inflation. Outlook for New Zealand, that's nothing. All right, the giveaway is here, though. The committee remains open for further reductions in the OCR as required for inflation to settle. So them saying this is that they're opening the doors for additional rate cuts. So they cut rates by 50 basis points and saying that they're willing to cut rates again. Yeah, so the case for reducing the OCR by 50 basis points emphasized prolonged spare capacity and the associated down risk to midterm activity and inflation. All right, so let's see. Like the only thing that an opportunity could come is if they already tipped their hand. I think this is over. But if they say that this is the end of their cutting cycle, like they're going to leave rates here. If they say that, then we could look for reversals. But I think they're opening the door, which they already said. They're opening the door for additional rate cuts. So the committee discussed their options for reducing the OCR by 25 basis points or by 50. So we already know they cut rates by 50. But at least I can see, this shit is gone. It's already gone. So, there's just no opportunities. But they cut rates by 50 basis points. That's definitely a shock. That's a surprise. So that's why it happened so aggressively. All right, financial conditions are influenced by the current levels, expected further path. So they're opening the doors for further rate cuts. Activity through the middle of 2025 was weak. So that's another reason, weaker growth. Yeah, Dylan, it was pretty aggressive. Yeah, that's a surprise for you. But they cut by 50 basis points. Crazy. So at least you guys see it. When they surprise, they're supposed to cut by 25. They do 50. That's overly aggressive. Like that's overly dovish. And that's why we got such a reaction like that. And then you can look at the New Zealand stock market. You can just see that it's pushing higher, right? So red, dovish, right? You see that equities right here is pushing higher for the New Zealand stock market. NZD currency is weaker across the board. So that was because of the 50. Then they still emphasize that they're opening doors for additional rate cuts. So that's even more dovish coming from their forward guidance. Yeah, I don't think they're going to have a press conference, so that's pretty much it. Yeah, like it does. But it's always cycles, that's why. But it does, yeah. Oh, Bala, you took the cells on it. That's funny. Good job, huh? Wasn't that the easiest trade ever? Right? That's crazy. I didn't even have a chance to like. I didn't even have a chance to take it. That's great. Good job. I was just shocked that they cut by 50. Like I was looking for the like. I was literally looking for a 2.8 and I saw 2.5 and I was and I fucking hesitated. Crazy. I literally hesitated. I was like, oh shit. Like, because I was about to say, oh, they cut rates by 25, but they cut rates by 50. So I was like shocked. I hesitated. So that's why I couldn't even answer. So the Reserve Bank of New Zealand has cut rates by 50 basis points. You can see the weakness in all the NZD pairs. You can look right here. She took advantage of the NZD USD sells. Easy profits. Yeah, it was quick. At least one person got it, which is great. Yeah, that's it. I'll do an update for you guys on this afterwards. There's not going to be a press conference. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. They already tipped their hand. But, yeah, like looking at gold now. So, for you guys that are like pretty much like after like 9:30, 10, like the pullback makes sense, right? Which it just gives us a higher probability because I can't imagine the amount of take profits that is happening here, sell orders that is happening here. But just watch this zone, right? From 39.85. If we could order block at this area and then we start breaking below support, I feel like it's going to be a really good high probability we could come back to the middle of this range. And that could probably be a good scalp opportunity for you. But as price is pushing lower, always be aware for possible pullbacks because the overall trend is bullish, right? So you, as long as the dollar remains stronger, if the dollar continues to remain stronger for the session, I think that will be the edge that we look for gold to continue to push lower. All right. So watch dollar as dollar and yield still spike up. That should help gold give you some pullbacks. All right, guys. So that's what I would say will be the next best bet for the remainder of Asian session. Other than that, focus on intervention, right? I believe for UJ, for the Bank of Japan to intervene, I feel like that's gonna be around. I feel like it was around. I know it was like around 155. We're not there yet, but it's like 155. This area is where the Bank of Japan don't like, where they're gonna most likely try to intervene. So we're getting close to the point where we're going to get a headline from the Bank of Japan saying that they're watching the forex markets, right? So usually when they say stuff like that, oh we're watching the markets, it's pretty excessive, like stuff like that. That's where you're going to have to be on the lookout for intervention, and then we're going to see some unnatural reaction where this is just going to melt aggressively, and then if you don't catch that, you could catch the reversals because price is just going to go back up. All right. So I think that's the opportunity. The next opportunity is catching intervention or waiting until afterwards. Okay. But you just don't want to be in a goddamn buy, like buying GJ and buying UJ, and an intervention comes, that's just going to destroy your whole entire account. But all right, guys, that's it. I'll see you guys for New York. But like remember, if y'all don't take anything now, then just wait for Asian session. I think that to me that I feel like that's London session. Sorry, that will probably be the next best bet. Like look, watch out for those gold sells. As long as dollar and yields continue to push higher, right? We're probably going to see some bit of gold retracement, but I would prefer to see consolidation. But that could give us some retracement too. All right, guys. Everybody's good. Like any questions now? I'll take questions if you guys are good. What's a safe pair? I mean, like, what you mean by safe? Yeah, Davis, man, have a good one, brother. Yeah, Bala, good job with the NZD USD sales. Very ballsy though, crazy. Um, yeah, that's a good question because of the I didn't like the yen because I feel like I feel like this could probably be a better buy because of a weaker yen. I feel like that could be a better buy. I think gold is a good opportunity, Andre. Just looking at gold, I feel like NZD could be a good opportunity, like for buys. Yeah, because of the weaker yen overall, I think that would be a better play. But looking for like the just in case, right? Well, we need to see what happens moving forward because I think that the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, I can see them actually coming out and saying that this is the end of their cutting cycle eventually. Because when that does happen, right, NZD JPY buys would be the best bet because we got that pullback. But they're not saying that yet. They're just confirming the cut. So I wouldn't look for that as of yet, right? But if I would try to be more like buys towards NZD JPY, but everything else is more neutral. It's 50-50 game. But I would probably be cautious with NZD, because probably afterwards, like let this week go by. Afterwards, then let's see if we could catch reasons for like NZD USD could probably be a good option where we could take advantage of weaker NZD if this actually still holds. Yeah,